Welcome to Preppercon Radio this morning. Scott points to me, hey, you're up. So,
I had to have a little fun today.
hey, well, I guess I need to practice, right?
Always. It's always good to practice. Welcome to Preppercon Radio, and our volume's a little too high here. Hopefully you're hearing us okay out there. Give us a call if the sounds are weird. In fact, give us a call if you want to talk preparedness. This hour is dedicated, as always, to preparedness. 100% unadulterated awesomeness, survival, preparedness, end of the world, poking fun at the apocalypse.
If only it would happen sooner, right?
And when I say end of the world, I mean end of the world as we know it.
As we know it, right.
The world's not going anywhere. The people are going to hell in a handbasket if we don't change our ways, but we can fix that. You are listening to K-Talk Radio. That's AM 630. This is the voice of the Rocky Mountains, as I like to call it.
Very cool.
The truth heard from on high a mountaintop.
Yep.
You're listening to K-Talk Radio. We have a lot of fun. We love your involvement, listeners. Thank you for being part of the show. As always, we've got PrepperCon coming up. It's always coming up. We keep scheduling it some more. So April 15th and 16th at the Southtown Expo Center. The first 100 ticket holders through the door each day are going to get one of these
Sweet
22-tool survival credit cards. It's got a saw, it's got bandage clasps, it's got needles. I've actually used some of these and they work great. It's got
that
tweezers,
AR cleaner.
It's got an AR tool cleaner. It's a scraping tool to clean out the gunk.
That works well.
We got 2 different arrowheads. I mean, it's just got a lot of cool things. First 100 people through the door on Friday morning that have a ticket that are holding a ticket. So vendors, sorry, you don't qualify. Everybody else after that 100, you're gonna have to buy yours. They're gonna be $13.99 at the show. If you want to get one free, you can actually buy your tickets online. Go to preppercon.com. Get on the special deals, special offers page, and you can get one free with a 2-day pass on that page only. So check it out. Thanks for tuning in. Today we are talking, because it's spring break, people are starting to drive more. The weather's changing. We're talking...
Got the cabin fever.
Yeah. What do you need in your car? Car kits. Car necessities. So we want to talk to you guys. If you have an idea of what you think you need in your car, call us up. The number here is 801-254-5855. That's 801-254-5855. Shane and I will field those questions, but we've got our own lists.
Of course. And, of course, next week is spring break, at least for my kids.
You know, it's spring break right now up in, I believe, Davis County.
Okay.
It's weird. Every school seems to be different. And it would be... I guess it makes sense to have all the schools and all the districts staggered a little bit so that not everybody
is on the road
at the same time, or not everybody's at the zoo the same day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be worse.
Too crowded. Regardless.
So, okay, you guys have kids coming out of school next week. What are you doing? Are you guys taking them anywhere? Are you doing anything special?
Well, I've been jonesing to get off road. Still kind of have some snow in the high country, so I can't really get up in a lot of those areas. But out west, desert, I think that's where we might be headed.
Nice.
Out to Fish Springs, out west, Callio, Gold Hill, Ipapaw out there.
A little warmer temperatures, a little less snow. So
less snow, maybe not warmer, but a little less snow.
Well, yeah, it's true, maybe not warmer. So what are you going to be making sure you have in your car? Top thing, first thing that comes to mind, what do you need in your car?
Well, I'm a bit of a, how would I put it? A bit of a freak when it comes to being prepared for a road trip. Especially, I've got all my kids, all 7 of us in the vehicle. I don't want anything to go wrong. I don't want to get stranded. I don't want to get hung up. It's very inconvenient, and the kids, how they'll complain and everything. So, to get the car ready is the first thing to do, other than put stuff in the car. Everybody has lots of stuff, obviously, to carry with them. Especially me. I carry more than anybody else. But the first item is to take care of the car itself. So the very first thing I do, what I've learned through sad experience, is I check my tires. And what I check my tires for is screws, nails. Although they may not be leaking, right? I go over a cattle guard, go over a rock, pulls that screw out, right? And then I got to deal with a flat tire there on the road. That's no fun at all.
Dang, that's crazy. So, rocks, anything can pop those tires. We actually, funny story, this weekend, Monday, we were driving down to St. George to deliver the hurricane simulator to the next fabricator who's actually building the shell for it, for PrepperCon. If you want to take a ride on it, it's $10 at PrepperCon. Get your tickets now. But here's the cool thing. We were testing it out without it completely put together, and we were pushing winds of 120 miles an hour. It was insane. It was crazy strong. A lot of those simulators you see in the malls, they say the wind speeds go up to 70 miles an hour. We actually took a windometer, I guess is what you call it. And we took it in there, and they were only pushing about 30 miles an hour.
Oh, really? That's what they're saying.
And so it's kind of funny. Ours, we were testing it out with a high-grade airplane windometer, the one that you actually attach to the bottom of an airplane to really see where your wind speeds are. And we were going 119 miles an hour, so almost 120. And we didn't even have it all the way throttled. It was insane.
Crazy.
So you can see pictures of that on our Facebook page on facebook.com/PrepperCon. But it's insane. That's going to be there. But on the way down, I looked at the tires and I thought, okay, they look good. I banged them.
Brand new tires.
My truck's great, but the trailer, I was a little concerned. I was like, yeah, they look fine. But I was like, the outer wall looked good, but I was just a little worried. Well, we didn't even get it all the way. We got to Nephi, I think. And we went to gas up, and the tread was starting to bubble off the tire. So it was about
Didn't
to
that
peel.
come all the way from Florida on that?
And it came all the way from Florida. So we got hosed. This guy put horrible tires on there and wore them all out before he even got them out to us. And so we couldn't even make our delivery. I had to buy new tires. But make sure you have backup cash. What if my credit card or my debit card wasn't working?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I couldn't finish my trip.
Big part about it. Talking a little bit more about tires, air pressure is obviously very critical. Because I like to go off-road, I like to run my tires a little bit lower on air pressure. I do that for a couple of reasons. Of course, the ride is nicer over the bumps. It's less jarring. If you have running it, some of the tires, some of these SUVs you can jack them up to 80 psi for towing in particular. Not.
Try that other mic. Your numbers are going way low.
Oh, should I turn this up over here, mic 1?
I don't know.
Or should I do stereo? Should I do both mics? How does that sound?
The other one's way better. Stick
All right,
with
we'll
red.
switch mics. All right, that's too bad.
That one's way up.
Right,
Drop your numbers. There we go.
All right, cool. So what was I talking about? Air pressure.
Air pressure. Running the tires a little low.
Exactly. So when you're off road, even if it's just on a graded road, it's not paved, but you're on a graded gravel road. I drop the air pressure down to 30, 35, depending on your vehicle. It depends on the weight of your vehicle, how many people you have in the vehicle, and so forth.
Right.
Drop your air pressure down so that you have a wider tread pattern, more tire contact with the road. It gives you a softer ride. Also, imagine a balloon. So how easy is a balloon to pop when it's fully inflated? You've got it really high pressure in there, very easy to pop. You can do it with your fingernails. But now imagine a balloon that's deflated. You can stand on the thing, and it doesn't pop. It just stretches, and that's kind of the same principle with tires. If you're off road and you encounter a sharp rock with a highly inflated tire, it's more likely to burst, to have a puncture.
I've had that happen.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. And so run a lower air pressure, and that will help avoid punctures. But also the thing is with air pressure, you've got to have a way to air your tire back up when you get back on the road, because low air pressure can be dangerous, especially on the freeway at high speeds. You lose control. Your vehicle becomes less stable. So it is important to have the right tire pressure. So when you're off road, you should be at lower speeds. So it's going to be more manageable, lower speeds with lower air pressure. And you're just going to have to check your vehicle out. You're going to have to test it. You're going to have to try it. But it makes the ride so much nicer, especially if you just have your stock shocks on your vehicle. And it makes it a lot safer, too, for punctures and so forth. So that's my advice for this next week for your tires in particular, of course. My recommendation on tires is, I'm an SUV guy. I will always have an SUV, a truck, or something like that, because I have to be off-road. So tires are extremely important to me. My favorite tire, and I'm not sponsored or anything by this brand, but I've worn them for years, is the BFG. The BF Goodrich all-terrain tire is fantastic tire for off-road and for on-road. It's relatively quiet. There are tires that are more quiet. But for a tough, durable tire off-road that does really well on-road as well, that's my favorite tire. So for me, the selection of tires is very, very important.
So when we're talking about preparedness, talking about trips, talking about family safety, first and foremost, make sure your vehicle's running well. Good tires. Good tires are going to take care of a lot of things. It's going to avoid accidents better for you. Shorter stopping time, better acceleration, better turning. But just make sure your tires are good. I mean, your kids and your life hinge on the quality of what you're doing, on the quality of the things you're using. So don't go cheap, go safe. Let's talk the next few things. Let's kind of jump ahead. Now, in your car, what are some basic, simple things that you think would be a good thing to have? Really, I think at all times. But as soon as we start hitting spring, there's some you can change things up.
Absolutely. In winter, I carry different things in the winter, and spring, summer, and so forth. Well, for me, again, all my trips I plan are really to go off-road. Eventually, now obviously there's a lot of time spent on the pavement, but eventually the goal is to get off-road, whether it be a road where I have to put the vehicle into 4-low, or just a rough road of some sort, whether it's graded or whatever. So obviously tires are number one. Like you said, keeping your vehicle maintained, oil change, make sure all your fluids are good before you go out and potentially have a problem. The next problem that I've had that has crippled us in the past in vehicles is the radiator hoses, old belts. So I would highly recommend having belts checked, including timing belt. Don't forget to change your timing belt according to the manufacturer's recommendations. That's very critical. But also just your coolant hoses. I've had hoses burst on me, and it immediately cripples you. Fortunately, or sometimes they can be very easy to fix while you're out on the road. You can get more water, fill up your radiator. But if you do a little research online, you can see what problems your vehicle may have, what hoses. You should keep some extra hoses, extra parts in your vehicle. So things that you can actually do, maybe an extra thermostat, depending on the age of your vehicle. Those types of repairs you can do while you're out on the road. So that's my next recommendation, is maybe extra parts, extra fluids. And you should know your car, if it burns oil, or if you have certain issues to take care of. Gotcha.
So we're coming up on a break here in a second. So we've been talking car maintenance. Make sure you're taking care of your car, obviously. It's going to last longer in the first place, but your family's going to be safer having a safer car, having everything taken care of, making sure tire pressure's good, making sure you've got the appropriate oil changes, the correct spark plugs in your vehicle.
That's a good one.
Makes sense, It took me, real quick before we bumped into the break, it took me 10 and a half hours to get from Bountiful to St. George on Monday.
Mainly because you had the wrong spark plugs.
Because my mechanic put the wrong freaking spark plugs in my car. Wrong size for the engine, and wrong brand for the vehicle. So it blew a couple of the coils. For those of you who are mechanics, you probably know a whole heck of a lot more about this than I do, because I'm still an idiot and I'm still pissed. But had I known that, I could have avoided that problem. I mean, I was crippled 3 times on the way down there because of this problem.
Ruined your total vacation.
Totally. It wasn't even a vacation. It was a work trip to go drop something off, the hurricane simulator, and then turn around and come back. So make sure your car's got the right things in it. Make sure you trust your mechanic. Make sure your family's safe. When we get back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about things you can carry on your person, but also things to put in your car to be better prepared.
Sweet.
Thanks for listening to K-Talk. We'll be right back after the break from these words from our sponsors. We have weird music every week, and I blame the prepared guy.
You can blame me.
All the time.
That one wasn't so bad. The last one, going out with the last one, that was
bad. It was dumb. It was horrible.
We'll switch that one.
Thank you. All right, we're back, and I'm busting out the speakers here. I apologize. I'm having some problems getting the radio levels right on the speakers here. Cars, springtime,
Road trip,
allergies, fun times. Okay, we're talking safety, right? Preppercon Radio, K-Talk. What we're talking about right now, we talked last segment mostly about car maintenance. This segment, I want to talk about what you should have in your car. As you come out of winter, take out the big boots, take out the big extra coat, take out the big wool blankets. You don't need as much warmth, but you still need it.
I still keep the wool blankets in there for summer for a couple of reasons. First of all, for my winch. When I've got my winch, I throw on because I've got a receiver in the front of my vehicle. I throw my winch on, and then I use my wool blanket over the winch cable. If I'm pulling myself out or somebody else out, you don't want that winch cable to come unattached somehow and then come flying back at your vehicle or the other vehicle. So that it acts as a damper, throwing that wool blanket over that. Plus, you lay it out for a picnic. So.
With oil and grease and everything else on it.
Sure.
Make sure you put that side down.
I don't mind. I don't use under my vehicle. I've got a different pad just for that. But
you never know where that winch is gone, so you be double cautious. So I love having two different types of wool blankets. I've got thicker ones for the winter that I bring in, and I've got thinner ones for the summer that I leave in year round. That way I've got a little extra. But I also have those Mylar blankets. They're great in a pinch. They're usually one or two uses, and then they start to fall apart. But if you're stuck somewhere,
those are always good to have, and
they're
even
great to have in a pinch because they're so tiny. You can pop it into the back seat, little carriers behind the front seats. Those little pockets. You can pop a couple in there, pop a couple ponchos in there.
Yeah,
toss a lighter on each side.
Ladies, keep one in your purse.
Yeah, keep one in your purse. They're so good to have. If you come across an accident and someone's in shock, boom. The first thing you need to do is assess the situation, start taking care of that person, but get them warm, get their body core temperature corrected.
Having a blanket or something to wrap around someone in an emergency is quite comforting.
Absolutely.
So my next item that I have on there, of course, I was going to say, of course, the winch. But also all my accessories go with the winch. Snatch blocks, shackles, straps. I go by myself.
This is Shane.
Now, if you're
not everybody has a winch. Sorry.
Well, if you go by yourself.
We're not in
okay. Well, that's another topic for another day. But going by yourself, you find yourself stuck. How are you going to get out? If you're going in a caravan, you got two people, and you carry a strap, you can pull each other out if you happen to get stuck or what have you. So I carry the winch. I've got all the implements I need to go with it. I also have an anchor. It's just a winch anchor point. So essentially, what it is, it's a big heavy triangle that, as you attach the winch cable to it, it digs into the ground. So you don't need a tree, you don't need a big rock or anything like that. It works better in some soils than others, obviously. But I carry that around when I have the winch on, so that if I need a winch point, always got one with me.
All right.
So that's kind of the extreme side of what I carry.
So for those of you who have just a regular sedan, or maybe a Chevy Volt, or a regular truck, and you don't have a winch, or you don't have, a giant rescue vehicle.
Well, that's a great point because
99.99999% of us.
Know the capabilities of your vehicle. I guess that would be, don't try and take, I went camping this weekend out west, and it got pretty muddy and snowy. We got some snow out there. And I saw little, front-wheel drive cars headed out where we were. Not really appropriate. You're going to find yourself in trouble. So know the capabilities of your vehicle, take the right vehicle, or don't go. Or have somebody
make sure you got the right vehicle. And before you go, make sure you let everyone else know where you're going to be.
Yep.
Have your emergency contacts well aware when you're leaving, when you'll be where you need to be, and when you'll be home, so that they know, hey, if I haven't heard from so-and-so, they're not checking in on Tuesday night, I need to start worrying.
They've been overdue for a certain amount of time. And
give them the route you're taking so they know where to look. And if you change your plan, if you change your route, let people know. Let your emergency contact know. That's communication 101. Whenever you put together a plan, where you're going, what you're doing, make sure someone outside your travel party knows, and they can be used as your emergency contact. So if things change, update that person. Thankfully, our plans, we never diverted from the routes, but our route got really, really slow. And so we let our emergency contacts know what was going on, and we gave hourly updates.
So yeah, absolutely on that same theme, that same topic. What comes to mind is the spare tire. That really gets neglected, whether it's sitting in your trunk or underneath your vehicle.
Yep.
Mine has the TPMS, the tire pressure sensors on that as well, so I know if that tire gets low on air pressure as well. But a lot of them do not. So especially small passenger cars, you have a miniaturized version of that tire. It's the same diameter, but the width is narrower, and that's to save space in your trunk. but it's not appropriate to drive on that for more than 50 miles.
Yep.
I see people driving around on these little spares. You know they're not headed to the directly to the tire store to get that fixed.
Okay, talk what's your name?
So that's my next thing I would point out to you is make
Rob?
sure your spare
something
tire has
Good.
air in
That's
it.
something for,
It's in good condition. It's not
for our topic?
terribly worn, and then it's the right size. And now also, especially
hold
on
on
say
one second, I'll bring
SUVs
you on here in
or
just a minute.
Jeeps, I see this a lot as
Thanks,
well.
bud.
Is they have a lift, big tires on the vehicle, but you've got the stock spare on the rear.
Yep.
So you've got these large tires, and you've got a spare that just you may be able to limp out on there. But if you have a four-wheel drive vehicle, all of your tires need to be the same size, or you're going to ruin things.
Exactly.
So look at your spare, evaluate your spare, make sure that's in good shape before you go anywhere.
That's a great point. We actually have a caller, Rob. Rob, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you. So,
How you guys doing today?
doing really good. Thanks for calling in.
Well, I got 2 suggestions. First of all, you're talking about small cars. A winch is a great thing. They make winches now. They have a little receiver hitch mount that they slip right into your receiver hitch.
Yep.
And even for small cars with receiver hitches, I think.
Yeah. So
it's weird.
on the rear, you're saying so that you could pull yourself out of a situation.
Yeah, whatever you got, rear or
Yeah.
the front. Sometimes people have them on the front of their cars, but it's just it's kind of small, compact, and they fit in your thing. And another thing I never hear you guys mention, AAA insurance.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely. That's a great point.
I think that's one a lot of people are forgetting every day. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. Insurance is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every time I've been in a major accident, insurance has been there to save my butt.
Yeah.
You AAA and AAA, when you're stuck on the side of the road, sometimes you're out in the middle of nowhere, but you still got phone reception, and passerby cars are few and far. I've used it many times.
Awesome.
That's true. And another point that the thing that I've used before is a come along. If you're familiar with the come along, there's your strap come alongs, or there's cable ones,
Sure.
and
Sure.
you could use that to pull yourself out of a sticky situation as well. If it's not too extreme, they can't carry an entire vehicle, but like a winch can. But that's another good option.
It's a good way to go.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much for your call.
Yeah, take it easy, guys. See you at Peppercon.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely awesome. Thanks. And so I guess that also brings along, obviously, if you're stuck and you can call AAA and you don't have cell phone service, how do you get help?
Well, the other part about that is okay. Let's jump into communications
Yeah.
tools. Cell phones. We had to stay overnight. We didn't have wall chargers in our car, so we didn't have a way to charge our phones overnight. Even though we've been on them all day and we've been in the car charging them throughout the day, but at night, where are we going to charge those? It's always good to have. I mean, all of our phones pretty much now have the ability to be unplugged from the car and plugged into the wall with just one little adapter. Always have that adapter
That's
in your
true,
car
yeah.
or in the backpack.
Just stick it in your center console, so
Yeah.
you've always got something
Just
there.
take it with you. And I actually pulled mine out of my car 2 weeks ago
Mhm.
because I was like, oh, I need that right now. So I took it and I didn't put it back. So always check your car. It's good to do
All the little things.
a quick check to make sure you've still got the things you need. Here's one that I think a lot of people don't have. Flares.
Okay. Yeah,
Most people don't have
True.
flares in their car.
that's true.
Here's why I think that's such a failure. Car manufacturers used to provide them when you bought the car. You get a few flares, right? And they have a great shelf life. They last
Decades.
decades
Yeah.
and decades.
Yeah.
But there's two reasons why I love having flares. Number one, if you are broken down on the side of the road, or maybe you can't get all the way off the road, light that flare up, put it on the road. Especially at night, people are going to see that
Big
from
hazard.
pretty dang far away. But you need some type of marker to let people know that's where you are and not to hit you.
And that's a great point. Yeah, flares are inexpensive. You can go down to your AutoZone or your local parts store and pick up a couple of flares and just throw them in your trunk.
Yep.
I also have one of those safety triangles.
Those
so
are
it actually
great.
is folded. It folds up in a little case. Put it in the back of the vehicle. If you're broken down the side of the road, you can set that back, a couple hundred feet from your vehicle.
Highly reflective, easy to see.
Exactly, so that people want it coming up on you, especially if you're coming over a crest of a hill or around a corner where people are not going to see you. That's an extremely good point there.
The other thing I like about the flares, they run for quite a long time. I mean, they burn for 3 to 5 hours. Now, here's the cool thing is, you can start a fire with your flare. So if you don't have
Start a forest.
a lighter, I've got a few lighters, in my car. But if you can't find those or you don't have those, your flare can also be used as a fire starter to help keep you warm.
And here's another point: is if you're stranded, you can take your flare and light your spare tire on fire as a single smoke.
Now,
And
don't
that's gonna
stand
be
next to it; it's highly
noticeable.
toxic.
Oh, yeah, but it's going to create that black smoke and to be seen for miles and miles, and people are going to notice it, especially a black smoke.
Black smoke, people worry. If you see black smoke like that, make sure you call first responders, get somebody out there to help them. It could be anything from someone just stuck there or some kids messing
Yeah, it
around,
could
and
be
if kids are
nothing, it
messing
could
around,
be
we got to
something.
stop them so that we don't have forest fires and other problems, wildland fires.
Cool. So communication.
Communication. I love having backup systems. In my car, I actually have, and I've pulled it out with me. This is a 3-tool-in-1. You can hear that?
I need to get me one of these pepper guns.
So, hybrid light, they're going to be at PrepperCon. This is one of my favorite things that I got last year. It's a solar-powered flashlight and lantern.
And lantern. What I like about this one is that you can charge it with your USB.
Yep. So it's got a USB charger that comes with, but here's the coolest part for me. This battery can charge my
You
phone.
can also charge your phone.
I can charge all my small electronics that have USB-based charging systems. This is compatible with. So, and I can charge it in office lighting.
Stick it
I
on the
can
dash
charge
of your
it
car.
outside. I just stick it behind the seat, the passenger seat in my truck, and so it's up against the window almost all the time.
Cool.
And it's just collecting
Constant
solar
charging,
energy. So it's always got to charge. And so I use this to save my phone over the weekend. I was like, oh, I'm almost out of power. Oh, I'm almost out of power. So I used this until I used it up.
Yep.
You know, and then I was able to last through the night.
Yep.
Next morning, we got back to the vehicle. We were able to keep charging. So have that backup system.
Yeah,
but you also need light. If you've got to work on your car,
Dual
it's
purpose.
dark,
Yeah.
you can hang this from your hood. It's got a little hook.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know.
Yeah, that was on my list, is actually a way to charge your phone away from your vehicle, solar power, and this gives you the option for it being a light source as well as a charging source. That's very cool.
Yeah, anything you can do to increase redundancy, but also increase each item's ability to be multiple tools in one. I love having multiple tools in one, purely for the fact that it saves space.
Yeah.
You know, I look in my garage and I've got tons of crap in there. Multiple types of shovels, everything. You know, and then there's products like Redhead Tools. They came out with this like 21
I got to get me some of
tools
those.
in one. It's a shovel, a spade shovel, a regular round nose shovel, a flathead shovel, a rake, a hoe, like all these different things with different configurations of length of the handles. And so it's just like, holy smokes. And it takes up a third of the space of all my other tools combined.
And that's the one thing I keep in my vehicle as well, is just a small folding shovel.
Yeah,
it's not a
small
large
folding
like
shovel.
the Redhead full-size shovel, which would be nice when it comes to emergency. But that's another thing is having a folding shovel, whether it be to be a cheap military surplus one or a nicer Gerber brand that I like, and I take that backpacking all over the place.
Absolutely. And put a roll of toilet paper next to it.
Oh yeah, that's an important one.
In your car, people, put toilet paper in your car.
Roll of toilet
Multiple uses. If you've got an allergy attack, great, you can sneeze into it. But more importantly, if you're stuck on the side of the road, or maybe you've got a small one, or you yourself have a tiny bladder and you've got to pull off to the side of the road on a long road trip,
Very essential.
have some wipes and have some wet wipes. I love having a roll of toilet paper and then a roll of wet wipes. So then you can clean up afterwards. You don't have to find a water source.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you have to work on your engine or whatever, or if you're just eating your vehicle, easy to clean your hands and so your hands aren't slippery on the steering wheel and so forth.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I guess communication. Cell phone obviously is our number one communication source.
Yep.
What else do I have in my rig?
You've got a ham radio.
Ham radio,
Lucky
as well
sure.
as a CB.
I didn't realize you had both.
Yeah, it's. I am
Is it a
updating
2-in-1?
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
It's the CB is definitely old school dinosaur, but it is as reliable as communication gets. The CBs. So don't discount the CB and having one installed in your vehicle, or even having a portable one.
And they're not expensive.
They're very inexpensive. Of course, there are expensive ones out there that are very
Right.
nice, but even the most basic will get you at least a couple miles range, if not more, depending on your antenna and so forth.
I was staring at them while we were at a truck stop just yesterday, and there's a long-range extending 3,500 watt
Wow.
antenna
For truckers.
for truckers, right? But it's a magnet one, so you could
Just put it on your hood.
drop it on the hood of your car, drop it on the roof,
Yep.
you know. But you could extend, if you've got the right CB, I mean, and they had all types of CB radios that you could increase that thing. It plugs into your car, and then it plugs into your CB radio. But, I mean, that thing, way overkill.
Yeah.
But it was only $450.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now you can buy just little portable units that plug into your cigarette lighter, put the magnet on your roof, and you've got all 40 channels, and you've got 5 watts, something like that, which could be make the difference in.
How many miles usually does 5 watts get you on a CB?
It really depends on the terrain more than anything, but from what I understand, if I remember correctly, you get about a mile per watt, or maybe 2 miles per watt.
Okay.
And it depends again on if you're wide open, if you've got hills or whatever blocking your range, it's going to make big differences. But say a ham radio is depending on the wavelength, you can reach hundreds of miles, basically line of sight. You could talk to the moon with just a simple with a half a watt.
Yeah.
With a half a watt, you can talk anywhere.
But for that, you need to have
you got to have a license.
ham operator license.
You know what you're doing, and they're expensive.
But it's worth it. I'm actually working on mine right now, and I'm still a moron trying to figure it out.
But even the FRS radios, the little family radio service radios, if you're talking between vehicles, that's a great option too.
Absolutely. Okay. Hey, we're running to a break. You're listening to K-Talk AM 630. This is PrepperCon Radio, and we'll be right back with you. Feel free to call in 801-254-5855. Apparently, welcome to the dance club. We've got the craziest music. We're going to have to retune that later. You're listening to K-Talk Radio, AM 630. We're talking about things you should put in your car, things you should have in your vehicle. Now that it's springtime, you're thinking, okay, the snow's starting to melt. There's still problems, though. There's still snow out there.
So apparently Scott is telling me that I'm going over the top.
Crazy
with
about
the winch and all
he's
my
like,
gear I carry.
On the break, he's like, "Oh yeah, I want to talk about air compressors," and I'm like, "You're gonna go build a house?
CO2 tanks.
CO2 tanks." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, you can refill your tires. That's great."
But I realized, okay, yeah, maybe I'm a little bit advanced. You could say
he's our advanced placement prepper. I'm prepping 101, 202, and 303. He's level 400, 500, and AP history.
Anyway, so trying to keep it more down to basics. What to keep in the vehicle? Fire extinguisher.
Absolutely.
Super important. I have one that fits right in my door, in my driver's side door pocket. It's just a small one, really meant for electrical fires. If your vehicle does happen to catch on fire, the best choice is run away.
Yep.
Don't try and fight that fire.
It's called safe distance, people.
Exactly. But if you have family, you've got. Don't try and rescue things. Try and rescue family. So really, that's what that fire extinguisher is for: is to maybe get yourself out, get your family out. So that's super important to me. I'd like to carry a small inverter, just 150 watt, 2-3-4 watt inverter. Plugs into your cigarette lighter. You can use it to charge your camera batteries. You can use all kinds of uses.
Yeah, as long as your car's still running, it's great. Yeah. Another thing is there's some inverters now that have actually a solar power panel that you can plug into.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Great option. Some panels are bigger than others, so think smart when you're putting your kit together.
Put your panel in your front window.
And going back on the air compressor, maybe you can't fit an air compressor, or maybe you don't have the funds to go get an air compressor, but you can get the air can.
Air can, that is a good option.
It's a good backup. It's better than nothing.
Absolutely, that is a decent option. And what I'm talking about, I guess, about an air compressor is, again, you go down to the parts stores, Napa or whatever, and they have small emergency compressors. They plug into your cigarette lighter. They're maybe 20 to 30, 40 bucks. They're very noisy, and they're very slow, but they work. And I've never had one fail on me. I've had 2 or 3 of them, and it's changed between vehicles. And if your tire's low, it may take 20 minutes to pump it up, but hey, it works.
Then it pumps it up.
And it's lightweight, stick it in your trunk. Use it only when you need to.
Yeah.
I personally have a carbon dioxide tank.
Yeah, that's where I'm like Shane's at AP
power
level.
tank. And so
advanced placement for those of you who don't know what AP is.
So
not the Associated Press.
Thank goodness. So essentially this tank is filled with liquid carbon dioxide. And as it comes out, it goes into a gas. So I can hold a lot more. It's a 10-pound tank. I can air up my vehicles for an entire year on the one tank. So that's and
how much does one of those?
It costs me about $15 to fill up.
And how much does it cost to get the
They're
system?
$300-400.
That's what I'm looking for.
Or maybe a little less, depending on the size of the tank.
Okay.
Mounts in the vehicle, and if you're an off-roader and you air your tires down, you got to have something to air them back up, and quickly is much nicer than slow.
Right.
So that's what
So
that's
the point is what works for you. Get what works for you. Get what works for your budget, but get what you need.
Absolutely. All right, what's next here?
Well, we forgot the three big ones.
Yes.
Number one,
Jumper cables. Water.
always have water.
Water.
Because how long can we last without water?
Yeah.
3 days, right? Worst case scenario. I mean, your first rule, emergency rule of 3 is 3 hours.
Mhm.
And that is severe weather, you need shelter.
And if you have your vehicle, there's
You
your
can shelter in your car. If your car is underwater or something else, your clothes can also be used as shelter. But get into a safe situation so you've got shelter and you can get warm. Number 2 is always have water.
Mhm.
Always have water. I mean, you can use it for your radiator if you're having problems there. You can use it to wash hands off and other things. But more importantly, it's something to drink. Make sure it's in the BPA safe.
Yeah. Well, here's an easy
container.
one. After you finish drinking that 2 liter, whatever it is, rinse it out, fill it up with water, throw it in your car.
Yep.
That's super easy.
Yeah.
I carry a 5-gallon container. When it comes to spring, summer, I throw that 5-gallon thing of water in my vehicle, and it stays there all summer long.
Yeah, that's what I do. I've got a 2-gallon container because it's usually just me in the car.
Mhm.
So 2 gallons, that'll get me through 3 days, no problem. You know, survival mode, easy. But I've also got a filter.
Absolutely.
I've got 3 filters in my car at all times.
And actually, the one I prefer to have on me is the Life Straw. Because
Life Straw is awesome.
it's inexpensive. I can put it in my kit and forget about it. And of course, Life Straw is one of our sponsors this year
Yep.
for PrepperCon, and they have more than just the Life Straw. They have other products as well that are just fantastic. I've
Yeah,
been
they've got a
testing
whole
them out.
family filtration,
Yep.
gravity-fed kits. They've
Yep.
got water bottles.
Water bottle.
I love the Life Straw. I actually took the Life Straw over to the little Cottonwood Creek.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It goes through Murray, which is pretty nasty water. I mean, disgusting. And there's a video on our YouTube channel. You can go check it out. I drank out of that for a good 5 minutes,
Yeah.
just testing it out, making sure it
If
works.
you puddle off the side of the road or a creek or a swamp, you got some water.
Yeah, most situations it's pretty much okay. You don't want to go crazy, but LifeStraw, it will get you through in a pinch. I love it. Check them out, lifestraw.com.
Now, if you're in South America, you need something a little bit more. But it won't
Or-
filter out viruses.
Or if you're down in South Jordan over by Kennecott, you need something
Well,
more.
chemicals, right. It's not going to filter out chemicals and such. So, yeah, it's got to
if you're near mine tailings, I highly recommend another product that we're going to have at PrepperCon is Sawyer, or even better, Renovo.
Oh, okay, cool.
Renovo has a triple stage filter.
Berkey's going to be there too, aren't they?
Berkey's going to be there.
Okay.
They don't have a straw filter that you can just drink
Right, it's
through.
more of a home filter.
But they've got the 5-gallon, 3-gallon, and 2-gallon bucket systems with huge filters that
filter out fluoride.
they
and all
filter
kinds
just
of stuff.
about everything out. It's
Good stuff.
phenomenal. So you can check all of that out at PrepperCon, April 15th and 16th. But yeah, absolutely, water and a way to filter it. If you don't have a filter, maybe you're a coffee aficionado, keep a pack of the coffee filters in your car.
Yeah.
You can use that as a basic filter to get some things out of
basic
your water. It's not going to
sediments
take
out,
away all the contaminants, but it's going to get the larger stuff out.
Make it drinkable for
You
you.
can filter. Then again, you can make a triple stage filter. Go find some charcoal.
We're going to be giving a bunch of these Life Straws away at
Absolutely.
PrepperCon, so come and excuse me, and have the chance to win one. And there are going to be a lot of other filters there as well. So moving on, stuff along
Okay.
this. Excuse me. Whoa. What was your second? You said that was number one was water.
So water was number one. Number two, I was going to say, is food.
Okay. Cool.
Primarily because if you've got kids, you're going to hear them as soon as they're hungry. And if they're really hungry, you're going to hear them for a long
Yeah.
time. And it's usually at a not a really nice tone. It's kind of an annoying tone. If you ever watch Dumb and Dumber, that most annoying sound in the world, it's
yeah.
worse than that, right?
I use that quote way too often.
So you want to make sure you've got stuff not just for your survival, but for your sanity. And food helps kids a long way.
Yeah, and I think that's fairly straightforward when you're going on a trip. But if it comes to an emergency, what do you have in your vehicle that can satisfy you or your kids for that can sit in your vehicle? What kind of food do you keep in there that sits there all year long?
Right.
It's not going to be your fruit snacks or your granola bars or whatever.
Your granola bar's good in your car for a couple months. That's fine.
Right.
But it's not a year-round solution.
Right.
I love those SOS ration bars.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you.
I have those in my car, and I have instead of having the 72-hour block, I have a lot of the 24-hour blocks.
Bigger
So I can
ones.
just pop one of those up, because the 24-hour block, the 72-hour block is
That's the
3
bigger-
days worth of food, right? A 24-hour block, pop it open. Once it's open, you're good for about 6 to 9 months. I can distribute that a lot easier than popping over a 72-hour kit for just one person
And you
to
can
have a
stick
snack
that in your car and just leave it there and not worry about it.
Yeah, they're good for 5 years.
Yep.
So, and that's what Coast Guard uses. And there's
they're
different
not
brands you
they're
can
not bad
use.
tasting either.
Some taste pretty nasty. I recommend going to Emergency Essentials. They've got samples of a lot of the different types of foods.
Right.
Sometimes they'll let you sample those bars, and you can find out which ones you like.
Which one like this?
There's millennial bars. There's a whole bunch of different types. But get some of those in your car. Keep them in there. Rotate them out every 4 years. Don't let them go the full 5. That way you can eat them before they're bad. And I take them when I go camping, hiking. In fact, I took my old set out last year with a scout camp. We ended up going through all of them. We went on this 15-mile hike. I am the only one that had food and a first aid kit. That was the next one on the list
Scouts.
is first aid kit. Have a first aid kit in your car. Have a first aid kit, even if it's just a tiny one. Have one on your person at all times, or within jogging reach. A couple hundred paces.
Absolutely. And so, in my vehicle, I have, of course, jump kit. I trained as an EMT years ago, and so I prepared my jump kit, and it is oriented toward trauma. Obviously, if there's a car accident, you need to have the right medical supplies to treat trauma, larger injuries, like we were talking a little bit about last week, tourniquets, trauma bandages, and so forth. So it's good, obviously, to have the Band-Aids and the little stuff, too.
Absolutely.
But think about the larger instances as well.
You never know when you're going to have a major catastrophe happen. It's good to have the bigger stuff just in case.
Yeah,
one of the most often overlooked things is a good tourniquet. We're going to have Ready Man at PrepperCon. They've got the RATS tourniquet. It is the best,
one. Easiest, quickest,
simplest, and just, it's just awesome. It's so simple. You can put it on one-handed, so if you lose an arm, you can use your other arm to put it on. Or your teeth and a foot if you've got that dexterity. But it's something you can get through. So I think, first aid kit, a good robust kit in your car, and a good small kit in your bag at all times.
Absolutely.
And if you can be even cooler, like Shane, he's got the full-on emergency kit, but he knows how to use it. Make sure you know what you have and know how to use it. If you don't know how, come to PrepperCon, go to the classes. We've got first aid classes, basic and intermediate, as well as an advanced suturing class, to understand how to do these things, how to take care of these things, how to triage a situation.
It's so empowering and so liberating to not have to depend on others, where you can do it yourself.
If you're out on the road, if you're somewhere between Beaver and Cedar City, you're 45 minutes minimum away from first responders being able to get to you.
And if you're off a beaten track, it could be hours and hours.
It could be days if you're off on a weird hike.
Yep.
No one's going to find you if you're out of cell service. Have those things with you. Make sure you're better prepared so that you can get through those things. That's why we're doing the show. That's why PrepperCon exists. That's why PrepperCon Radio exists. That's why K-Talk is like, guys, we want you to come do this show. We want you to do this weekly show so we can help our listeners be better prepared.
And just like anything, the more you teach, the more we teach, the more we learn.
Absolutely. We do homework every week before we go on air. We double check our own kits. We double check our own strategies. We also talk to our network of preppers that have a vast knowledge. We have this huge database of preppers that we work with that are experts, and that's why we bring a lot of them on the air. Some of them are local businesses, some of them are out of state, but we bring them on because they all have a level of expertise in different areas that help complement what we're trying to accomplish here, which is to help you to be better prepared, help you to help your family be better prepared. First aid kit, we're talking about that. The next thing, jumper cables.
Yeah, we got a few minutes left, so just want to try and get the most essential items in here. Jumper cables, and of course, that also makes me think of the battery. The only reason you would need jumper cables, or one of the only reasons you might need your jumper cables, is if your battery goes bad, or your alternator.
Or you stumble across somebody else whose battery
or somebody else. Exactly. So that's another maintenance item we could talk about: is check your battery, make sure it's not more than 4 or 5 years old. If it is, you probably want to, and you're going on a trip, you might want to consider getting a new battery at that point.
Yeah.
And then I, of course, take that battery. Of course, you can turn it in, get your core back, or you can keep it and hang on to that lead that you can then cast into bullets.
Okay, there you go.
Or use it as in a backup application where you can charge it and hook an inverter to it and take it into your house and run appliances. Anyway, so jumper cables.
It's always an option. And the other thing is, if you don't have a jumper cables, but you've got one of those jump boxes where it's actually
Yeah.
a battery with cables on it.
There's some very cool devices out there that are very small that can charge your battery in a matter of
Jump a car.
a few minutes.
And they also
They
can be
will
used.
charge.
A lot of them have a regular outlet, and they also have a USB outlet, so you can charge your other devices.
Exactly.
So it's a
Very
great,
cool devices
great
out
resource.
there.
We'll actually have those at PrepperCon as well. We've got a few vendors.
A
that
few
make
different
those.
vendors, a few different types. Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go back to your list. Shane.
Another super important part for me is gloves, leather gloves. And it looks like we're coming up on the end of the
We're
year
out of
already.
time. So
don't forget
good,
your gloves.
heavy-duty work gloves. Guys, remember, first 100 people, ticket holders through the door at PrepperCon, get an Ultimate Survival Card. Make sure you go buy your tickets at PrepperCon.com. And thanks for listening to K-Talk Radio. This is the best two-way talk radio station in the nation.
Yes, it is.
My personal opinion, and should be yours as well. Thanks for listening today.
Liberty Moms is next.
Liberty Moms is coming up.
Are you planning to bug out or get out of Dodge when things get bad? You have your food, water, and clothes, but where will you go? Utah City as a